Did you ever realize that there are certain people who don't need to yell, beg, and fight to have their own way? And still, somehow, everyone seems to do what they want. These people walk into a room, and the energy shifts. They don't have to say a word, and people step in, nod their heads, and do their bidding like puppets on strings. There's no hocus pocus. There's no luck. It's something darker and much more powerful. Psychologists have called it nonverbal dominance. Ancient philosophers have called it the silent command, but in the modern world, it's what separates leaders from followers, predators from prey, and manipulators from the manipulated. And here is the chilling reality. Once you're aware that this trick is out there, you'll start to see it everywhere in politicians, cult leaders, CEOs, even in that one person in your life who somehow always seems to get their way. In this video, I am about to show you precisely how one human can make another human comply without saying a single word. You'll learn the hidden cues, the silent methods, and the creepy psychological pressure that makes people acquiesce before they even realize what's happening. But let me warn you, once you learn this, you can't unlearn it. Once you notice it, you can't ignore it, and once you have it, you'll notice how easy it is to manipulate almost anyone. So, are you ready to step into the shadows of the human mind? Let's begin. At the root of silent obedience is a single idea. Human beings are pattern-following animals, and bodies speak more quickly than mouths. The dark art is not one technique. It has a particular orchestration of signals the brain recognizes as leadership, danger, or safety. When those signals converge, words are unnecessary. Humans gravitate toward the person who seems to already own the reality in front of them. Attention focuses perception. When one individual keeps a steady, relaxed rather than aggressive eye contact, other people's brains interpret that gaze as confidence and certainty. Certainty is contagious. When one person seems to know what's happening, the rest of the room's predictive machinery fills in the blanks and falls into line, which is why silent command often begins with the eyes. Second, posture and space convey social rank. A slow, controlled expansion of personal space, the chest out slightly, shoulders relaxed down, feet planted, declares dominance without saying a word. People intuitively read these signals through mirror neurons and adjust their own posture, reducing resistance. Dominant posture is not loud, it's precise. The silent ruler does not swagger. They simply occupy the scene as if it already belongs to them. Third, micro-timing hijacks choice. Small, perfectly timed pauses, a slow breath in before movement, or reaching out to touch something first, these small temporal claims teach bystanders when to act. The brain prefers predictable timing. If a person reliably initiates the pauses and sets the rhythm, others fall into the beat. Obedience, at that point, is a synchrony of internal clocks. Fourth, mirroring and subtle mimicry create rapport that is experienced as consensus. When your respiratory rate and facial expressions reflect those of another's very slightly, their nervous system registers you as us, not them. That boundary dissolution makes suggestions feel like choices one has made oneself. The best silent manipulators are not over-the-top impersonators. They are invisible mirrors who reflect enough to dissolve doubt. Fifth, environmental anchoring affects expectation, objects, lighting, seating arrangement. Even the presence of a watch or a pen, these form anchors that the brain associates with authority. A person who places himself at the center of anchors makes acting in line with them seem natural. People prefer to act where the environment already suggests. Sixth, confident minimalism reduces friction. The fewer behavior options you present, the shorter the distance between observation and action, the less others are likely to choose non-compliance. A gesture, a look, a head nod that says now minimizes decision time. The less the brain has to deliberate, the more it defaults to the path of least resistance. Follow the visible leader. 7th, calibrated silence increases power. Silence is not a void. It's a canvas that the other individual fills. A well-placed silence can render a request an inevitable completion instead of a demand. Individuals talk to fill silence. Manipulators utilize silence to allow the target to talk themselves into the desired action. Finally, emotional contagion does its work. When the silent leader radiates calm dominance, that feeling is conveyed. When they radiate control urgency, that too is conveyed through the team. Emotion is not just felt, it's performed. And performed emotions guide behavior much more consistently than words of command. Each of these components comes together and becomes more than the sum. The dark art is choreography. Eyes, posture, timing, mirroring, setting, minimalism, silence, and emotional tone set up so the victim's brain makes the decision for them, not through force, but through engineered clarity. Use this knowledge to know it. Use it to defend yourself. And if you should ever consider using it to manipulate others, remember, mastery without ethics is power focused toward destruction. Wordless obedience works because of a single thing most people never question: the brain's hungry desire for shortcuts. Your senses are deluged with information at every moment: faces, voices, gestures, shadows, objects. You'd collapse under the weight of infinite computation if you tried to process it consciously. Your brain takes a shortcut instead. It looks around for cues of certainty, security, and dominance. As soon as it finds them, it divests itself of responsibility by obeying. This is where dark psychology thrives. The first mechanism is the minimization of cognitive load. Imagine you're in a crowded airport. Announcements are streaming, people are rushing in all directions, signs are competing for your attention. Then someone walks through, walking with confident stride, eyes forward, posture straight. Your brain immediately latches onto them as a reference point. You assume they know where they're going, and if you're lost, you might even follow. It's not because they talked, it's because their body reduced your cognitive load. You outsourced your thinking. The second mechanism is microsocial proof. Humans are herd animals by nature. When one projects controlled confidence, it has the same urge as noticing the first bird flying south or the first sheep wading into a river. Your nervous system translates their confidence into group approval. If one is completely sure, the brain assumes many must be agreeing, even when they're not. That illusion of agreement propels obedience forward. The third mechanic is authority bias. Humans learn from childhood to associate calm, controlled dominance with leadership. Parents, teachers, cops, religious figures all used posture, silence, and timing to assert control before you even understood language. Your brain still contains those imprints. When someone replicates them, the old program executes: obey first, ask questions later. The fourth mechanism is fear of social friction. Silence is a weapon. When someone holds your gaze and doesn't speak, the tension rises like static electricity. Most people can't stand it. To escape it, they do something. They nod, they agree, they acquiesce. The manipulator doesn't need to press. They let your brain build the path of least resistance, which is usually surrender. The fifth mechanic is emotional mirroring. Nervous systems sync up. When a person radiates slow, measured calm, your heartbeat and breath automatically follow. If they radiate urgency, you feel an adrenaline rush. By the time your body's in sync with theirs, to resist would feel unnatural, even painful. You go along because your physiology already went along. The sixth mechanic is anchoring attention. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the reality. A subtle gesture, a stillness before action, a hand first laid on the table, these become anchors on which others structure themselves. The brain rewards predictability. And thus when somebody creates predictable moments, the mind latches onto them like stepping stones. Compliance follows the path laid out, and the seventh mechanic is the most dangerous, the illusion of choice. The magic isn't accomplished through compelling, but through the limiting of possibilities to where only one becomes natural. The pause that makes you fill the silence, the position that leaves you little room, the eye that says yes before you say a word, all are methods of making you believe you chose freely, when in reality the choice was scripted. When you put these mechanics together, the result is horrifying. Silent obedience does not consist of mind control in the science fiction sense. It is a matter of turning the brain as shortcuts against itself. The victim is not even aware a command was given. They simply do, thinking it was their own idea. And that is why this dark trick is so powerful. If silent obedience is so potent, the natural next question is, how do you protect yourself? Because once you realize how easy it is for someone to control your choices without uttering a sound, the world starts to seem a little more sinister. The upside is, defense doesn't mean becoming impenetrable, it means becoming attentive once you see the strings. The puppet show isn't powerful anymore. The first line of defense is to become attuned to your body's response. Pay attention when your breathing rhythm changes to match another's, when you shift posture unconsciously, or when you feel compelled to fill silence. These are all signs that your nervous system is in training with theirs. Stop and notice. That pause is the interruption in the cycle. The second defense is your own deliberate silence. Most people cave under the weight of unspoken tension. If someone is using silence on you, mirror it back. Breathe, wait, and let the silence draw out. It will make you uncomfortable at first, but it denies the manipulator the satisfaction of making you break first. Silence, when met with silence, neutralizes the tactic. Third is space reclamation. Whenever someone invades your physical space, leaning in, sprawling, taking possession of items in the room, reclaim your boundaries. Move back if you need a clear mind. Move your chair. Place your own hand on the table. Small gestures reclaim control of your personal space and disrupt environmental anchoring that pulls you into compliance. Fourth is mindful time control. The dark trick tends to operate by dictating the rhythm, the pause, the gesture, the glance. To counter, alter the tempo. Count to 3 before responding. Request a moment to consider. Break up the silent choreography with your own timing. It resets the frame and restores choice. Number 5 is internal commentary. Silent manipulators rely on your neglect to think consciously. The fastest shield is to remark on your thoughts internally. Why am I leaning forward? Why do I feel like agreeing? What decision do I actually want? This small act of inquiry transforms an unconscious reflex into a conscious choice. Once the spell is verbalized, it no longer has power. Number 6 is context refraining. Remember, dominance cues aren't absolute, they're context dependent. A stranger's relaxed gaze in a packed subway isn't leadership, it's intrusion. Refraining context takes away the aura of inevitability from the manipulator's cues. You tell yourself, this is just a person, not an authority. 7th is practice in low-stakes situations. Watch people's unconscious games every day, at coffee shops, in meetings, on the subway. Practice gently disrupting them. Hold eye contact a beat longer than normal. Refuse to mirror body position. Hesitate before answering. Each small move builds resistance, so when stakes are higher, your reflex is trained. And finally, anchoring your own authority. Manipulators adore victims who lack a firm internal compass. The more grounded you are in your values, boundaries, and identity, the harder it is for anyone to turn you without words. When your sense of who I am is firm, silent tricks become noise instead of commands. The shield against this dark psychology is not paranoia. It's awareness. Most comply in silence because they never question themselves as to why they feel the need to obey. The second you learn to notice, stop, and reset, you become free. For the real power is not in making someone obey without words. The real power is in not obeying without awareness. And when you go back to your own life after this video, remember this: influence is not always loud. Control is not always obvious. The most sinister manipulations are the ones you don't see coming until it's too late. The world is full of silent string pullers, a few for power, a few for greed, a few for control for its own sake. But the remedy is simple: awareness is your shield. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you are no longer a pawn. So, here is my challenge to you. Watch the people around you this week. Notice who speaks the least but gets the most. Notice who dominates a room with quiet. And then ask yourself, are they leading or manipulating? You now have the knowledge. The only question is, will you use it to defend yourself or to manipulate others? The choice is yours, and if you're willing to delve into more of the next level of this hidden world, don't wait for my next video. Trust me, once you hear the words that I'm about to speak, you'll know silence is only the beginning. Until then, stay vigilant and stay in the shadows,